where they lead.
But we've had presidents do that before. President Clinton did that with the deposition in the Whitewater, Monica Lewinsky situation. You talked about the possibility, and the reality show, as you put it, of maybe him wanting to come here to Congress, but you also talked earlier about the importance of balance of powers.
Right.
You have that in a parliamentary system. We don't have that here.
Right.
That would be extraordinary if you were to
Yeah, I do. I think that that's something that we have to weigh the equity of, because when President Clinton, that wasn't to Congress. That wasn't to Congress. So we have to understand that, well, we're in an extraordinary circumstance. Well, we've never been to a place like this. And what did the former Director of National Intelligence say in his speech the other day? That Watergate pales in comparison to what is happening now. Yes, sir.
Based on what came out of the hearing yesterday involving Attorney General Sessions, and based on some reports from the White House that maybe even the president lacks a degree of confidence in him, what is your level of confidence in Attorney General Sessions, and do you believe he should still be in that job?
On March 2nd, I said he should resign as Attorney General. On March 2nd, I said Attorney General Sessions should not be in that job and he should resign. So that's, what, 3 months ago, more than 3 months ago. So that's my position on him.
Do you feel even stronger after yesterday? Did that change, move the ball forward for you anymore in that respect?
Well, how much more can he do than resign? I don't know. I resigned twice. I don't think that he honored his recusal. And, how can I say, without confirming or denying what came out of that room, which was a closed session, have had for a long time the benefit of briefings. Yes, sir.
Leader Pelosi, the president has said that he feels completely, totally vindicated after Mr. Comey's testimony yesterday. What's your reaction to that? Do you see it that way?
No, I don't see it that way at all. But I do see that he might see it that way. Because, as I said earlier, facts, evidence, data, curiosity about the truth, discipline in his comments are not hallmarks of his presidency. What I did say this morning, in case you missed me on TV, is follow this. Now, this was early this morning, and in light of events that have come forth since. I said to him that New Yorkers have said to me, those who've had business dealings with him, he operates this way. First, he tries to charm you. President Bush tries to charm you. If that doesn't work, he tries to bully you. If that doesn't work, he walks away from the deal. And if that doesn't work, he sues you. So, charm, bully, abandon, sue. And I didn't realize it, but when I got back to my office, like an hour later, I saw that they're filing suit against Comey. So he tried to charm him. He tried to bully him. He tossed him out, and now he's going to sue him. Following suit. I mean, he's true to form, true to his nature. And that, that's not how a democracy works. It may be how a bully works. But in any case, I think his statements need some discipline, and I don't know if anybody in the White House has the courage to discipline the president. As I've said about that, if you want to work in the White House, know your blood type, because he'll throw you under the bus in a second, as he has done with others and when he has abandoned them. But it's too bad, because he needs work and he needs sleep. Yes, sir.
Madam Leader, as you know, the markets react to uncertainty. Are you able to reassure investors that we may not have debt ceiling drama?
I hope not. The debt ceiling, full faith and credit of the United States of America is guaranteed in our Constitution. We really do not even have to take legislative action, but we do. And I would hope that we would have no debate about it, because, as you recall, a few years ago, even when we had the questioning of it, when the Republicans said they were not going to lift the debt ceiling, when President Obama was president, and of course they had the majority, even the discussion of it lowered our credit rating. And we can't go to that place. I mean, really. So I would hope that we can have a vote on a clean debt ceiling, that we would do it by the end of July, because this may come due in August. Even if it's September, we want to be ready. And as you said, remove all doubt, have some certainty as to where that is. So I would hope that we could work in a bipartisan way. Now, again, indicative of what's going on in the administration, you have the Secretary of the Treasury saying they want a clean debt ceiling. I said President Bush. I'm sorry, I meant to say. It's hard for me to say it, you know. Poor President Bush. I apologize. Wait a second on the debt ceiling thing. I started to say about the uncertainty in this administration. You have the Secretary of the Treasury, Mnuchin, saying it should be a clean debt ceiling, and the OMB director saying he's catering to the Freedom Caucus to put all kinds of things, cuts and stuff in it. We're not going down that path. And if they were to go down that path as a way to lift the debt ceiling in the House, I doubt they could pass that in the Senate. So let's just be efficient. Let's remove all doubt. Let's save our debate for another subject. This is the full faith and credit of the United States of America.
So your caucus would not demand any special provisions in that bill? You prefer?
No, clean. I mean, as I said before, this is about debts incurred. It's about things they have voted for to spend money on. It's about tax cuts they have given, which are tax expenditures that need to be covered. So this is about what is already spent or accounted for. It's not about how we go into the future, except to do so with some certainty.
You had indicated recently that you didn't want to see a debt ceiling increase that would let them then turn around and cut taxes.
No,
cut taxes.
I wasn't clear, and thank you for. My point was there should be no signal from a clean debt ceiling that we pass it that this is licensed to increase the debt. It's about the past. It's not about the future. So plain and simply for a clean debt ceiling. Yes.
Can I ask you, I wanted to ask about spending bills. Republicans seem to be talking about this idea in the House of passing an omnibus perhaps before the August recess. Is that something Democrats would have interest in or could potentially support?
An omnibus before the August recess? Today is the day they're supposed to have, their appropriations bills. This is a landmark day. And sometimes that date is missed, and we all know that. But there's at least a view in sight as to where we would go. They're so far behind schedule, it's really almost impossible to see how they could be at that place. Left to their own devices, I say this as one forged in the Appropriations Committee. That's the culture I grew up in Congress, as well as the Intelligence Committee and the Appropriations Committee. Basically, over time, as bipartisan as it gets. This is not. Left to their own devices, the Democrats and Republicans on the committee can come to their agreements on their bills. It's when on high the poison pills rain upon the some legislative poison pills that we have to get rid of. Having said that, I spoke with the Speaker a week and a couple of days ago, about, just last Friday. What is today? Is today Friday again?
Yes, ma'am.
It's around fast. We look forward to speaking with him. He made the overture, and I respect that we have to talk about what our top line is as to what our spending limits are as we go forward, and how the subcommittees know what their number is so that they can write a bill. So it's just up to them to get moving, but we have seen everything is behind schedule. We haven't seen, the President says can you believe this? He says his tax bill's moving through Congress. There is no tax bill. The appropriations process is way behind. His health care bill is a job killer and really a person killer too, as a matter of fact. And so it's a mess. They're a mess. But we stand ready we know how to legislate. We know how to get appropriations bills passed. We know how to be respectful of another person's point of view so that we can find our common ground, which we have a responsibility to the American people to do.
Can I just follow up? You mentioned that Ryan made an overture. What was it specifically? Was it discuss spending caps going forward for fiscal 2018? What was the overture?
It just said the top line. Just about the top line. Yes, ma'am.
Your last question. Back to Comey's testimony, I was wondering what you thought about his comments regarding former Attorney General Loretta Lynch and his confusion over her request to call the Clinton email probe a matter instead of an investigation, and also the fact that her meeting President Bill Clinton on the tarmac was sort of his final, was sort of the event that made him decide to make his announcement in July.
Well, I respect what he had to say. That's how he saw the situation. I think that President Clinton was probably paying a courtesy visit. Two people were in the same place. You say hello. It was unfortunate, though, because it was misinterpreted as for what it was. Matter investigation. I don't know that that's such a big deal. But I do say about Director Comey that he came through, I think, with great authenticity and sincerity. He is not a political person. I think that was quite evident, and that's a good thing for the director of the FBI. That the president would even ask him for his loyalty is something so far beyond the pale. He's not the president's appointee. So let's get back to what I said before. Charm, come to dinner, come to whatever that is, Trump Tower. Do you like your job? Can you be loyal to me? I hope you will do this. If you went to the White House and you were invited to the Oval Office with the President of the United States, the leader of the free world, and he told you what he hoped you would do, anyone who doesn't think that that is an abuse of power maybe has never been in the Oval with the President of the United States, especially one who has just cleared the room because he knew what he was doing was incriminating and he didn't want any witnesses.
Madam Leader, to clarify that, do you think that he obstructed justice, that the president obstructed?
Well, I think he abused power. I think there's no question he abused power. Whether he obstructed justice remains for the facts to come forward, and that's what we want are the facts, and I hope that our Republican colleagues will not continue to stand in the way of our getting the facts. Also, we'd like to see his tax returns because that will, again, help connect the dots here. And again, maybe it will all be exculpatory, but let's find that out. Right now, we have to remove all doubt about the integrity of our government.
Madam Leader, some of us in the media have to take our lumps for saying that the president was under investigation for Russia when Comey yesterday said he wasn't. Do you have any readout on how we've done and how we can fix things moving forward?
Well, again, it's about words. It's all about words. And the president has to understand this. Words spoken by the President of the United States weigh a ton. It's not like any word that any of the rest of us would say. I mean, you have the power of words. That's what you do. You know the power of words. But spoken by the President of the United States, they weigh a ton. So when they say, am I under investigation? No, you're not. That doesn't necessarily mean your campaign is not under investigation. And again, I don't know what the subtleties were in terms of
Many
I had the different impression.
Said he was under investigation, and now it's time for us to say, well, we got it wrong. And from your perspective, how do we fix that? And how do
we have an outside commission, an independent outside commission that looks into it. And we make sure that public opinion is aware of the fact that this is important. Because in their lives right now and always, what's important is their financial stability. Why are we not creating jobs? And how dare the Republicans and the president to say this investigation into the integrity of our elections and our government is an impediment to our getting our agenda through. What agenda? Show us the jobs. Show us the agenda. Where are the bills? They did a bill yesterday that was robbed the middle class, seniors, even our veterans, of financial stability by being, again, the handmaidens of Wall Street. And as I say, I don't paint everyone on Wall Street with the same brush, but I do say this, that they are the high priests of the special interest, and they sacrifice everything on the altar of trickle-down economics, tax cuts for the rich, special interest tax provisions in our code at the expense of working families in our country. So when we talk about increasing wages and all the rest of that, everything that they do is counter to that, whether they're doing with OSHA and NLRB and collective bargaining and minimum wage or all of those things. They're all in the negative column for them. But what's in the plus column is what works for Wall Street works for them at the expense of Main Street. And I said on the floor yesterday, millions of people lost their jobs, their homes, their financial security, their pensions, the savings for their children's education because of what was happening on Wall Street. And the very bill to correct that, Dodd-Frank, they overturned yesterday. And just for good measure, they overturned the fiduciary rule, which only says that financial advisors should take into consideration the well-being of the investor that they are advising. So just give all the leverage to the other side. It's appalling, but it's an opinion, and we have to make that debate in the public mind. I'm confident President Lincoln said public sentiment is everything. You see public sentiment weighing in on their dastardly health care bill, hopefully public opinion. They will understand, and I understand, not as many people have see just yet the personal impact of this overturning of Dodd-Frank. But if it ever became law, they would, and hopefully it will never become law. But on a health care bill, they do. Tip O'Neill said all politics is local. I go one step further. When it comes to health care, all politics is personal. Everyone is an expert on what they need in terms of public policy and personal health and economic security. So we're pleased so far that we've been able to stop them in throwing 23 million people. Somebody said, oh, it's not that many, it's 20 plus 3 or something. Having a result of 23 million fewer people having access to health care. Fewer people will have access to health care under their bill than had health care before we passed the Affordable Care Act. In other words, they're taking us not only back, but back. It's just a stunning thing. And why? All of this to give a tax cut to the high end. Transfer of wealth. Robin Hood in reverse. $800 billion from working families in our country going to the highest income and corporate interest in our country at the expense of working families. And just for good measure, in their budget, they take another $600 billion out of Medicaid so that they can afford their tax cuts and the rest. So it is a stunning thing. It's an interesting opportunity. I, too, wish we could spend more attention on the economic stability of America's families, on job creation, on increasing wages and working conditions, et cetera, and of course to save the health security of the American people, instead of having them make America sick again and attack the financial stability of America's working families. Go Warriors. I'll see you tonight.
All sports are local, but all sports, the Warriors, that's personal? Is that it?
I got the Giants right here.
Well, they're
got
about,
the Giants right
they have a
here.
winning percentage of about 370.
They're not good. They're not good. But you know what? We've been proud of them historically. And they will be there again. And there it is. I was at the game last Monday, Memorial Day, against the Nats.
You were there for the fight.
Yeah, I have it on my phone.
Oh, really?
I have it on my phone, yeah.
And so who was in the right? Was
That's a level of politics I won't even get into.
Thank you.
Pride Week. We're walking posters. We wear red for the little girls in Nigeria. We wear green for health care and Earth Day. We had a lot going. It's all in the colors. Follow the colors. Thank you all. Bye-bye. You know what I'm doing? I'm doing 2 very exciting things when I leave here. I'm going to speak at the reception for Doctor, I guess is the best title, Brzezinski. His services today, but how much I respect him. He came and spoke to us about the war in Iraq, and I certainly was opposed to it. He was too early on, and we had the benefit of his wisdom and thinking and his gracious, respectful demeanor when he came to Congress to speak. And then after that, I'm going to Galveston, Texas, for the commissioning of the Gabby Giffords ship. Not many women have a ship named for them. Martha Washington, that was a long time ago. And this is like one of the few, maybe 2, maybe 3 living women one is a question mark for when it became a ship. So Martha Washington and Gabby Giffords, two living women who had a ship named for them. There are a number, maybe a dozen or so more for women who were no longer with us when their names were commissioned. But Gabby Giffords, one of the most courageous, strong people in our country, supporter of our men and women in uniform in her life, and as a member of the Armed Services Committee, I appointed her to be on the Board of Visitors of West Point. Then she married a Navy person, so she's got the both. Being from Maryland and the Naval Academy, I was glad to see that, although I have 4 brothers who were in the Army, that she chose the Navy for her husband. And so the Navy will come together tomorrow in Galveston to name a ship for her, Gabby Giffords. Someone we would all take great pride in serving with, but also hold up as a model to young girls in our country. Is a great person. Thank you all.
Thank you.
I hope you have a good weekend, too.